The SL1 Prince challenge is a bit harder from your normal SL1, so let's go over a bit of the rules. First off, all your weapons have to be broken. It's also going to be an NG+, no auxiliary allowed, which means no bleed, no toxic, no poison, no frost. Any shields you use have to be broken as well. Additionally, we're not allowing Storm Ruler for this run, not allowing Tears of Denial, no prisoners, Chain and Lloyd's shield ring combination. You could have one or the other. We're not using combination because it would allow us to survive more attacks than necessary. Additionally, no passivity, which means no baiting attacks and trying to do any loops, no cheesing any fights, no summoning, which is obvious, and I think that's about it. Let's hop into the run. Keep in mind that what you're seeing right now is going to be the pretty much unedited version of the video. This is all the fights in their full glory, no cuts. You can see them beginning to end. My full amount of suffering as well, with proof that I actually beat him at SL1 with broken weapons and, well, it's a whole lot of rules that you have to adhere to. But, nonetheless, this is how it is going to be. This is for all the fellow Soulsies. Oh my goodness, my English is terrible today. The fellow Soulsies like me who just love to watch full fights like this, because nothing quite improves your skill like watching someone absolutely demolish a boss or get demolished retrospectively. I had to do a lot of research for this run, watching other people just beat these bosses hitless, because that's almost what you have to do. It's not quite the hardest run out there, but this SL1 Prince run that I call it, it is definitely the next step in SL1 challenges. It is not as hard as an SL1 Legend run, and if you haven't heard what an SL1 Legend run is, it's pretty much this run, but you're not allowed to heal either, and a couple other things. But that's just the basics of it. When I do my Legend run, though, it's going to be a no-roll challenge at SL1, which a no-roll is fun. I've already done a no-roll for this game, but my no-roll was leveled, and leveled versus SL1 is certainly a huge difference there, but I mean, I already have some practice in, so I know what to expect. I'm gonna just hop on into that stuff. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoy the majority of these fights. I'll occasionally pop in to say a few words or two, and then I'll have a fully unedited, oh my goodness, a fully edited version later, where it's just, maybe it's like a 30-minute, 20 or so minute long video. An additional thing about the SL1 Legend run is that you also have to clear every single boss, the DLC bosses, Nameless King, all bosses do mean all bosses. And this run is only up to Soul of Cinder, since I lost my mind trying to kill Cinder. It took me about over 20 hours of trying to kill the guy. I probably had hundreds upon hundreds of deaths. And it cost me, I'm totally telling you, between the resin cost and just, grass cost, like I don't even remember the name of it, but it gives you stamina regen. I guess I'm not that great of a Souls player if I can't even remember the name of it, but, yeah, it probably totaled over 600,000 souls just replacing resources, compared to the 200,000 you get for killing the guy. It's not much. My rate of return is bad. You can't make a business upon that. That's a losing investment there. But I mean, I killed him. The good news is, because it's an SL1 run, you have a lot of extra souls on you, which means I had a bunch of stored souls, which also means I have less boss souls now, since I about used every single one of them trying to kill Soul of Cinder. Of course, I now have a extra resins, and then I will eventually get to killing DLC bosses, but I need to upload this video sooner because my hard drive space legitimately cannot take the entire amount of a video, and it's just rough on my PC. I mean, even now, trying to voice over and record all of this, my PC is dying. It's in the red, and I have to find things to delete just so I can upload this safely. It is not a pretty sight, I'll tell you that much. It'll... Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah. During the course of this challenge, I recommend you guys, if any of you out there have ever done an SL1 run and you're watching this right now, wondering, is this person mentally okay? Well, step one, the answer is no. The answer is most definitely no. No, I'm not okay. I'm not even close to okay. All right, but I mean, I swear you'll be fine. Do the challenge. I swear you'll feel fine. It allows healing, so I mean, yeah, you guys got it. Do it. I mean, you see me, I'm fine curse rotted on NG Plus, and I'm doing just fine. I'm doing great. I mean, the whole NG Plus thing, it actually doesn't really affect the later bosses that much. The NG Plus is just there to make the earlier bosses harder, and that's sort of why it's there. And it definitely makes getting to the later bosses harder, although most of your time will probably be spent on the later bosses, right? Now, you might ask me, how did you think of the broken weapons? I mean, I didn't. It was something that I saw on the spreadsheet. The broken weapons was not my idea, although technically little challenge runs can be an original idea nowadays. People have done a ton of challenge runs out there, and so it's just up to people like me to find out new ones by combining a lot of different challenge runs, right? Okay, that was not where I was leading the conversation, but I guess that's where I went. Anyways, I manually broke all of these weapons, which probably took around an hour and 30 minutes for every single weapon that I use, because I also manually broke a shield, but you'll never see me use it because I couldn't find any information on it. If anyone has, please do leave a comment on the parry frames a broken shield has, because I have no idea. It felt like I was getting one, maybe two parry frames. I mean, I was landing a few, but like, I couldn't even parry Pontif's opening attack consistently. That is how bad the parry frames were on that shield. So I just skipped over it and just decided to dodge roll everything like a menace to society would, because I am in fact a menace to society, right? Wait, why am... Don't clip that. Okay, you hear me? You know, the people at FromSoft must have been cooking something when they decided to make the Curse Rotted Greatwood. And by cooking something, that something was most definitely some form of illicit substance. Because who thinks of a giant tree and goes, you know what, a great boss fight would just be to kick a tree in the balls? Genius! Oh my goodness, FromSoft, you truly are something else. I can't even tell what you're doing at times just because it's so out of pocket. I'm FromSoft. FromSoft's were the first shit posters, for real. Gotta love FromSoft. Oh man. So, why would anyone want to fight against the Deacons? The Deacons of the Deep. The big D. The Deacons are typically considered an easy fight. Everyone knows that, right? Even on SL1, it's an easy fight. Now, on the Sl1 Prince challenge, it is not an easy fight at all. It's not even close. For one, you are going to be risking getting cursed near the end. You also get killed easily, I'm ashamed to say, but I was actually managed to die to deacons once or twice in this challenge, but it's fine. It's fine. Don't make fun of me, okay? The deacons, you can see me running across, not running across. This is not considered passivity, by the way. It is just how you sort of fight the deacons when it's on a low damage run with low health as well. It's just how it's done. I repeat, this is not breaking the rules, I swear. Or wait, is it? I don't know. It's typically how most other people do it, too. It's what I kind of used as a reference to do this fight. And nonetheless, ow. The deacons. Why do I keep saying the deacons? The deacons of the deep. Ooh. They never scared anyone. Although there was one YouTuber I watched who actually managed to die to him 5 times on a normal run, which at times you have to question how? Seriously, how? And then, I mean, Alluring Skulls. This is actually the first time I not managed, but the first time I've ever had to use Alluring Skulls against the Deacons, which I'm sort of happy to, because I never had the chance to actually use the tech. It's really neat tech that it works against this boss, but I never had a challenge hard enough that I had to actually do it. And now I do, which really, it brought joy to me on a minor level. But Deacons, did you know that you actually can prevent dying to the cursed things? Because there are, like, deacons... You'll see it if you watch the video a bit more, but pay attention. The deacons that stand up, there's 4 of them that stand up and just start, like, cursing the area, and you go up and you backstab or stagger one of them, and it knocks it out of the way. And that's how you avoid dying on low damage runs to the cheap insta-kill effects, which I never really knew you could avoid until now. I mean, the more you know, it's always interesting to learn there's more than one way. Okay, see it right there? The ones that are shooting the things into air? You have to go backstab them whenever it gets close. Now, I recommend doing this once the meter on your bar starts filling. You want to run up to one of them and start aggressively just punching them. Punching them? Wait, why did I say punching? Oh my goodness. Just kill the guys. Kill them. Vicious, bloody. Kill them. They gotta die. There's no way around it. And I backstabbed the wrong person there, but... You can see them, and then you're about to go backstab that guy. If I actually manage to land it, but... The Deacons! Wow! I said it for the 15th time. Isn't this entertaining? Like most bosses, patience is key to the Deacons in this challenge. It didn't take me many tries, but it did make me upset every time I died, because dying to Deacons is just not something any professional Dark Souls player, or any Dark Souls player, wants to undergo. It's a fight that you never really appreciate until you start dying to it, but it takes really hard challenges to get you to start dying to it. And even then, it's not that great of a fight. I think most people can agree upon it, and you see me trying to get cursed to death and backstabbing again, and I don't blame you if you've skipped over this Deacon portion to go to more interesting parts of the fight, because Deacons are intrinsically boring. You're fighting through a horde of enemies. It's sort of like a hack and slash, right? Except this isn't Dark Souls. Dark Souls is very much not a hack and slash game. If you wanted a hack and slash game, I don't know, you might play Hades. Hades is pretty good. That's a really solid game, though. If you haven't played it, I mean, I definitely define it as hack and slash, but it also has hard fights in it. It's good. It's a well-balanced game based around Greek mythology, and I don't know why I'm talking about it now, but I like it. There's a lot of games out there that are great, although Dark Souls 3 has always been my favorite, for many reasons. And I believe I've said this before, but it's always the high skill ceiling. The patience that one has to have to beat these games. Dark Souls is great. It helps people get over depression, to never go hollow. It requires a lot of just skill, patience, learning. It teaches you a lot about life in general, about how not every time you're gonna succeed, but if you keep on banging your head against a brick wall, even the strongest of foes will falter before you. Your strength, it cannot be measured by normal means. Although you could be a very strong character, you could be wielding a great sword, level 100 and all, then you can still die. Or you can be the weakest there is with only a broken straight sword, and you will fight mighty foes and watch them beneath your feet. The difference between these two characters is not what they wield or what level they are, but their strength of will and how long they've tried at this game, despite the numerous times they've failed. And eventually, they've killed everything. They've killed their own fears, their own faults. They have killed the very demons that once haunted them, and now they stand above them all. I reckon now is a good enough time to mention that I am, of course, still a small channel, and it takes time for me to create fun, hard challenges like this. This challenge itself, I think it took me over 60 hours in its entirety. I'll have to check my game files later. But nonetheless, if you have enjoyed it thus far and continue to enjoy it, leaving a like, maybe subscribing, or just even leaving a comment will help show other people this video and how much I've suffered. And like, just, man, why am I always like this? I don't like chilling. It makes me feel a bit awkward. Chilling? Is that the right word for it? Selling out? I don't know. It's not quite selling out, but I think you get the point of it, just being that if you enjoy it, just doing any of those things can help show other people this video too, and it helps you show me your, I don't know, that you liked it and that you want to see more stuff like this. Uh, it's not easy being a small YouTuber in 2024 because you always have these really big YouTubers out there, and then you see a lot of them. You see them rise, you see them fall. I think we're all seeing a big YouTuber fall recently. If you know who I'm talking about, I mean, you probably do. He's the biggest on here. With all that extra stuff going on about him, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Dark Souls. And Dark Souls is the best thing to talk about. The Abyss Watchers is a great fight to show you the value of just backstabbing humanoid bosses, which is always super fun. Backstabs are great, and if you've ever played Bloodborne, I've heard that their backstabs are also pretty fun, including their, like, you can parry with guns. I'm a PC player. I've never experienced the joy of what Bloodborne is, but if you have, just, I don't know. I'm sad now because I talked about Bloodborne. I'm going to get a PS5 or Xbox someday. Whatever has Bloodborne, I'm gonna get it, and then I'm gonna play Bloodborne. It's a great game. At least that's what I've heard. I mean, it's a FromSoft game. It's just safe to say that it's good. Of course, I can't say it since I've never played it personally, but I mean, everyone knows it. It's just sort of common knowledge, even without playing the game, that it's great. I think that's just how it transcends. Abyss Watchers, though, the pointy hats, the your mama jokes, how, ooh, what did you say? I shall kill you, but if I kill you first. It's not gonna be too hard a fight. It took me a couple attempts to get it down. Well, actually more than a couple, maybe 30 so. Like, you eventually get them down, and you realize it's all about finding the right opportunities to buff yourself, and then get to backstabbing him, and if you don't whiff it completely. It's just great, and why am I always like, blah, 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 like a vampire? I think you can tell how ADHD I am from how I'm swapping from one conversation topic to another. I hope this mildly entertains you, because it entertains me to some minimum. And then off to Wolnir, touch the goblet, kill the bracelets that he got off of eBay for some reason. It's like, I went on to... You know what I'm referencing? Joke right here. This joke isn't mine, but like, he got the bracelets off eBay. It's it's his weak spot bracelets. Although no, it's actually lore reasons to stop him from going into the abyss. Here's a neat little fact. Did you know Wolnir has two different death animations based off if you kill him with or without destroying his bracelets? Like, you can still destroy two of his bracelets to get the third death animation, just can't kill the third one. But one of them's a regular death animation, which is the secret one, and normal one is him sliding off to the abyss. The bracelets are just keeping him sort of grounded in this world, to my understanding. And whenever you kill him normally, you've just regularly killed him. Although if you kill him with the bracelets, you're kind of condemning him to a horrible death. Which brings up a whole separate thing. Poor Wolnir. Look at him go. Whee! You gotta pity the guy. Well, I wonder what he did. I don't know too much. Whew! Bonfire, and then get on to the next boss in the sequence, which is just Ancient Wyvern. And I guess I'll just stop talking for this bit. You can skip through it if it's boring. This is just Ancient Wyvern from start to beginning. Nothing special. Plunge attack the dragon, and then the dragon's dead. We all know the story. The old Demon King is actually way harder than he looks in this challenge. This took me a surprising amount of deaths to this guy to even learn his moveset. Not exactly learn, because I already knew his moveset beforehand, but a lot of his attacks are surprisingly tricky to deal with. And a lot of them will one-shot you. Some of them feel a bit jank, but I think I'm saying that mainly because I'm salty. Yes, I am salty to dying to this very old demon guy. Don't worry, I'll kill his sons eventually. I mean, I'm guessing the two in the DLC might be his sons, because, you know, they're demon princes, he's the demon king. Although I'm not sure if that's meant to be a direct correlation or what. It's... I don't know. You have to dig through Dark Souls lore, and whenever you dig through Dark Souls lore, you get into the confusing area of the thing that is Dark Souls lore. You need a PhD to figure that stuff out. Although, if you just dig through item descriptions, you'll eventually find the answer, I guess. Nevertheless, just takes patience, learning, and not falling to his obvious moves like I do sometimes. His meteor attack is definitely going to be your best bet, just because that's pretty easy to dodge. Good moment to buff your weapon and heal, and good moment to get in DPS if you aren't in a tight situation. Sometimes the old Demon King will put you in some jank situations, but for the most part, you should be able to get through. His combustion ability is always a little bit difficult to deal with, but you get through it. You know, he's an old man. And if I remember correctly, after Old Demon King, I will be moving on to your next boss will be Yorm. Why did I do Yorm next? Because I wanted to get him out of the way, mainly as far as sequencing goes. I mean, you can hardly blame me. The fight is long. Why is it long? Because you're fighting him without Storm Ruler, and when you're fighting him without Storm Ruler, you're fighting him with a whole heap of pain. Now, Yorm himself, his attacks are pretty easy to know. The only difficulty being is the fight is going to be roughly 16 minutes long in this challenge. It's better than Bare Fist, mainly because you actually get the chance to hit his weak spot, being the head. But being in G+, he also has a lot more HP. And most part, yes, I know that technically there is going to be a lot of deaths if you're attempting this, mainly due to the fact that he will probably almost one-shot you. Mainly, especially if he's able to get that off-balance damage on you, you're going to die. You're gonna die quite a bit, and then you'll have to redo the fight. It's still easier than Bare Fists by about 5 minutes, but you also have the penalty of dying way easier. Shorter fight, but if you get hit, you are most likely going to be redoing the fight. I'm not commentating over the entire duration of this fight. He's Yorm. Just enjoy my suffering. I was in great pain. Mr. Pontif Sullivan, or you can just call him Sully. If you know all the lore to this guy, you know he's a rightful bad dude. In fact, he could be the final boss of the game in early drafts. At least that's to my knowledge. I could be misquoting, but Pontiff did in fact used to be a final boss of sorts, or at least not a mid-game boss. Which probably explains why, for a lot of people, he's pretty hard when you don't parry him, of course. A lot of times when you parry him, it makes the fight a lot easier. In fact, even on Wikipedia pages, not the Wikipedia page, but the Vector Live page, it says he is weak to criticals, which I don't think is said for any other boss. Which it's really funny. I find it amusing. However, because of the challenge run rules, you aren't going to be parrying him often due to only having 1 to 2 parry frames from a broken shield. The only other workaround to this would be switching off your weapon and just parrying with your bare fists. Of course, you're going to lose any of your weapon buff, therefore your damage, and make the whole thing kind of mute in point. So, for this run, or this winning attempt at Pontiff, for all my attempts, it took me a while to beat Pontiff, really. A lot of patience, a lot of skill, a lot of trying to parry him, failing, and breaking a shield. All of that time wasted. You know how annoying it is to manually break a shield? Oh my goodness. That took longer than killing Yorm trying to break that one shield. But I digress. Pontiff is still a fun fight, especially if you know how to roll around him, and then I run out of buffs at this moment, and it's just a whole lot of things you have to deal with when you're doing these sorts of runs. Hit and then just defeat Pontiff once and for all. Moving on to what is going to be a pretty easy fight. The Dancer of the Boreal Valley is a really fun fight. In fact, for a lot of people, I think it's one of the more fun fights in the game, teaching you, well, the very dance of Dark Souls. Of dodging, of hitting. I mean, obviously all fights are dodging and hitting, but to punish combos, what not to punish, to be patient, to not get grabbed, because that will insta-kill you, especially in an SL1 like this. The Dancer took a little bit of RNG when it comes to the second phase, because she really goes combo heavy, and then there's a lot less opportunities to punish her. Especially when you have a low damage, you're going to be experiencing a lot of that. Most of the time, the Dancer's attacks, you can dodge them easily with proper spacing, especially in the first phase, because you can just sort of also dance around her attacks, just by sprinting around it. Though, when second phase starts, you are going to be rolling the majority of those attacks. The Dancer will, again, try to kill you, but luckily, even in this NG+, you are not going to be one-shotted by things. You will almost be one-shot. All you really need to avoid is the grab, and you'll be fine. Let's talk about details. The Dancer, great design, great boss. What is there not to like? Besides the fact that she's probably killed a lot of people and caused so many people to rage. There are a lot of people who dislike her. Mainly new players who still don't understand the true value of death in this game. Death is not a deterrent, rather it teaches you that nothing is impossible and that patience, persistence, the more you play the game, the less you get upset by death. However, you will still experience a lot of pixel perfect moments. You know what I'm talking about, right? You get that boss almost dead, and then suddenly, gasp, it's not actually dead. It has 1 pixel left, and you got greedy, and you thought you'd be able to sneak an extra attack in, and that's when you die. You always die when you get greedy in this game, at least for the most part. I wish I could say I've been never punished for that sort of behavior, but I constantly pay for it. And I still haven't learned my lesson. Especially with SOC. Oh my goodness. It always goes to show that... And then I almost get greedy there, but it was a safe bet. It always just goes to show how you can always learn new things in Dark Souls, even if the lesson never quite gets hammered into your skull properly. And then move on to Aldrich, the Devourer of Gods, the fat slug himself. Look at this dude. The first thing you always want to do is run straight up to him. I find that if you don't bum rush him, he is going to be using annoying attacks on you. It took me more attempts than I'd like to beat Aldrich, but it's still gonna be an easy fight. You're still going to be praying for good RNG. If you get arrow rain, then you're not going to be having a good time, mainly because that's just... You're losing your DPS opportunities, and also make sure to dodge the life hunt scythe. Oh my goodness, life hunt scythe? Is that how you say it? Yeah, that should be life hunt scythe. I think I'm just gonna put music over the rest of it. It's Aldrich, it's a boring fight. No one wants to hear me talk. I'm sorry. I'm boring, I know. My opinions on Osiris are no secret. The guy is weird. He is most certainly a pervert in some extent. He definitely is not allowed within 5 miles of school zones, you know. He's just that type of guy. At least that's what I'm assuming he is. He is this weird, contorted monstrosity that knows some form of sorceries. I mean, White Dragon Breath is a high-level sorcery, but he's using it as a dragon innate skill. What we do see him use is stuff like Pestilent Mist, though, and he seems to be a mainly melee fighter who pretends to be a mage. technically he goes full on insane when the second phase is reached. My name is Osiris. Look at me go. Everyone knows Osiris is also an Egyptian god, although I don't think he resembles him whatsoever. Wait, is Osiris? Osiris does sound like an Egyptian god, at least. I might be being schizophrenic right now. Osiris actually took me only 2 attempts, I think. He's not going to give you any troubles. I died once to him. I almost killed him. But Osiris is going to be a very easy fight. Why'd I stop by to kill him? Mainly for just a couple extra souls. He is free souls. That's just what he is. The only time Osiris should ever be giving you a high amount of trouble is if you're on some sort of ranged build. Because second phase, it gets sort of difficult. But even if you are a ranged build, specifically, if you're a miracle build, you're still going to be absolutely annihilating Osiris due to the lightning weakness of being a dragon. Well, that's about it on the guy. He's a bit of he's a fast fellow. He's going all around the place. Look at him zoom, look at him go. Thinking he's fast or something. Dragonslayer armor is one of the top 3 bosses that took the longest to complete. And of course, those are the next 3 bosses. Dragonslayer armor, Twin Princes, and Soul of Cinder. Dragonslayer armor probably took the second longest, mainly due to how long each attempt would take due to my limited damage. 73 a hit, that is when buffed with the fire. It's not great. It's not pretty. It's not even getting yellow. It is minuscule damage. Barely shows up. I do get better damage on the next 2, but of course they have harder movesets. Dragonslayer armor moveset is relatively simple. The only threat is the shield. Luckily, the shield isn't enough to one-shot you, so the only thing that you're really threatened of being hit by isn't enough to one-shot you. Although, one of his shield attacks will one-shot you when it enters a second phase, being the shield slam, if I remember correctly. Like the downward slam punch, like that, you know. The other attacks that will one-shot you are mainly his axe attacks, and you shouldn't be worrying about that. You're not going to be one-shot by that, because you're not going to be hit by that. At least, hopefully. If you fought Dragonslayer armor enough, you know, the big threat is not his giant axe, but rather the shield he constantly hugs behind because he's a shield hugger. He loves that shield. Yes, I am salty. Some of my attempts were just spending... I've probably... For between how many attempts it took me to kill Dragonslayer armor, probably 30 minutes of that was just me waiting for him to decide to stop hugging his shield and start attacking me. The guy, it annoys me. His shield is his life. It's like the shield is his wife or something. The guy loves the shield. He keeps the shield on him at all times, and I'm making fun of him, yeah. If you use a shield, you shouldn't. The guy is... What? Bro. I'm something else, man. The Dragonslayer armor, bro. Look at him go. thinking these... No, this reminds me of that time that the Dragonslayer armor jumped off a cliff. I wish he jumped off a cliff. It would be funny if it was a Dark Souls 1 moment where you were able to push the Dragonslayer armor off, which would be such a great way to end this fight. And oh, how I wish it was like the Iron Golem. It's like, no, you add fall damage to the fight, in a fight where the boss can't even die to fall damage, and that's just not fun, okay? Why? Watching where your rolls is going on top of everything else is just an extra added level of difficulty I did not need to deal with. I mean, when you're dealing with fights in Dark Souls 1, there's so many bosses that can fall off. And by so many, 2, I think? I might be missing one. And then there's also the butterfly, you know, it floats down. It can't fall off the bridge. It just floats down. If you know what that is, you know that's a classic. It just floats down, right? That's a classic. Everyone knows that's a classic. I mean, if you're watching this video, there's a chance you've seen that guy. You know, I'm not gonna reference him because it's just obvious at this rate. Oh, man. What else? So much to talk about, but so little ideas when I'm actually talking. I feel as if I'm just talking into the wind, asking it to talk back to me. See, shield hugger there annoys me. Mr. Dragonslayer, what are you up with? Also, the irony of being a Dragonslayer armor possessed by dragon-looking things never ceases to amuse me. I wonder who used to be in that armor, because that's not a person in that armor. At least, not to my knowledge. It's immune to bleed and stuff. I mean, it is thick armor, though. But it would make more sense if the armor is being piloted by something. Something or another. You know? It's also immune to lightning, which makes sense since it's using lightning. It's not immune, it's just resistant. I'm sorry, I'm off my rocker today. The guy. I would love to see what the Dragonslayer, the person inside the Dragonslayer armor, actually looked like. He probably was an absolute menace to society at one point. The guy would go around killing dragons, and one day he died, and dragons possessed him instead. Which is some level of irony to it, but you have to pity the guy. He was probably a legendary warrior. Someone who fought hard for his ideals, who stood strong in the face of his foes, and killed many dragons. And I like that about him, because I absolutely hate dragons. I hate Midir. Midir? I hate Midir. And if you ever played Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 2, you know, those have some really horrid dragon fights. Got your Calamites. And then don't even get me started on breaking your weapon on that dragon in Dark Souls 2. Through many a great pain, I fought, and I struggled against the fate of time itself, and eventually arrived at the Twincest Brothers, with my axe raised high, ready to kill these guys. It took me a course of 2 days. One day was just a half day, and the other day was a full day of attempts, like morning to night, trying to master this guy. I have never been the greatest at the Twin Princes, a secret known only to people who actually have seen me fight the Twin Princes. But after this challenge run, I became demi-godly at them. Like, it is impressive how much I improved. Now, notably, I still get hit a few times, but, like, it's good. I'm doing pretty good on these guys. It impresses me. Although, I learned a lot of times when to punish him, when not to punish him. The main problem with this fight comes in just the second phase, because that's when a lot of the issues arise. Not issues with the fight design itself, but rather with trying to deal with all the teleportation Mikijutsu going on. Which I feel like there should be a cooldown on teleportation, because some attempts you get him not teleporting at all, which is good for you, and other times he's teleporting every half second. He finishes one attack and then he's teleporting again, and sometimes he teleports onto chairs, breaking his animation and teleporting instantly again onto another chair. And then that's weird, and you react to the first teleportation for him to only teleport right onto you and instantly kill you. That has happened to me multiple times, and I do not trust any of the chairs around this arena, and I convinced they're only there to mess with the AI. And the Twin Princes, they also teleport onto the pillars around the arena. There's just so much teleport shenanigans going on, and you have to question, what's going on? Now, I also died a couple times to Greed, which is a classic in Dark Souls gaming. In this fight, just the first part of the second phase is going to be hardest, because after that, you know, Lorien is always going to be low, because the next time he revives, he's not at the maximum health values. Also, looking at health values on the Wikipedia, and so, not Wikipedia, how do you keep saying that? Fextra Life. Fextra Life is what I use. The fan things for Dark Souls 3 are not the best. Fextra Life is the best wiki I've found for Dark Souls 3. If there's a better one, feel free to tell me, because I always like extra information. And I'll say this again, just in case someone didn't hear me or skipped over it, but I kind of want information on broken shield or broken weapon things. On the wikis, there's no information on the statistics of broken weapons. I mean, why would there be? It's almost never an issue, except for when it is an issue. This is an issue. I want other people to do this challenge and post their information on their broken sword, broken weapon statistics. And if people can, we can have an actual working wiki on broken weapons, which would be so nice. Well, I mean, wouldn't it? Especially broken shields. I want to know the parry frames, parry timings of broken shields. That would be great. And I know this isn't related to the topic of Lothric and Lorien, but there's so much you can talk about these guys. You dodge the attacks, you punish them, it's as simple as that. You make fun of him for being weird. I mean, these guys are the first version of PCR, Prime Consort Radon. You know, fought him. I was one of the first 100 or so to beat the guy. I mean, I didn't upload the thing of it. I do have screenshots of when I beat it on my computer, though. On my computer timer. Prime Consort Radon was a solid fight. I loved it. It's a good fight, and I don't know why people are salty over it, and people are still trying to cheese him. I beat PCR with just a pickaxe. That fight, it was fun! I love the Elden Ring DLC. Now, why am I not doing it right now? Because I wanted to do Dark Souls 3 challenges. And although hopping on the bandwagon of Elden Ring would be the correct play here as a content creator, which I'm pretty much not. At this point, I'm really just sharing my challenge runs. I'm not big whatsoever. Maybe I'll be. I probably won't ever be, but... I mean, so long as I commit myself to working on challenges and getting better at editing, I can at least show my skill to people and have them, conversely, enjoy it. And I think, overall, that's what it means to be a Dark Souls player. To never give up in the face of adversity. To keep on fighting these bosses even though they've killed you hundreds of times. To keep on learning new skills, to get better at editing, even though, at the current point, you most certainly know you're awful at it, and you're still awful at it. But it doesn't matter if you're awful at it now. You keep on playing a game, hundreds of hours, thousands of hours, however many hours you have. The persistence and willingness to go further is what it means to possess a Dark Soul. The skill of it all, the power within. See what I did there? I mean, it wasn't very clever, but Soul of Cinder, yeah. Well, talk about him a bit. 4 movesets, and you can effectively punish 3 of them. The curved sword moveset is definitely the worst, and I'm gonna have a video that goes deeper into Soul of Cinder, since I've died over 200 times to this guy throughout this challenge, because 200 out, no, probably well over 200 deaths. I used so many lightning resins. I spent a lot trying to get this guy dead, and it took almost all my souls to beat him. By that I mean, you know, I purchased a bunch of lightning resin at the Firelink Shrine, because without lightning resin, you're not doing good damage at all. Some of it's RNG and hoping he doesn't use his healing attacks. I do have so much footage of death footage, and I'm going to have a separate video that goes into the details of Soul of Cinder, because I have a lot of opinions on him right now, and a lot of them are angry opinions. So I probably need to let myself calm down from that a bit. I mean, even when you play the game as much as I do, there are still things that'll get you upset. Soul of Cinder made me upset. Mainly him healing. Like that. It upsets me. That upsets me. Although Dual Charm cancels it out, which is not something I knew until I asked in the Dark Souls 3 Discord about it. And, like, the more you know, right? Really interesting. Really neat. A lot of the times, the healing will mess things up a lot for you, because it's normally in a normal run, that's an ideal attack, because it's not attack, an ideal move, I guess, because it gives you a lot of time to punish it, and most of the time they're not going to be healing for as much as what you're damaging them in that time frame. The only exception being, of course, if you're bad at the game and you keep getting hit, or if you're on a low damage run, like this. Well, Soul of Cinder, second phase and all, and I'll ask this one more time before the video closed. If you enjoyed this, my suffering, like, subscribe, comment. It helps grow my channel, and it really matters since it's a small channel. What you do actually matters, and whether or not you decide to do that is what decides if my channel grows further from this point or not. So I genuinely thank you for everyone who's watching, who puts up with my pretty bad entertainment. I mean, at least I think it's not great. I mean, hopefully it entertains some people. The chances are everyone has their own cup of tea, right? I mean, technically, even if I didn't do commentating over it, just the fight and the footage itself would be entertaining enough to some people. People like me, because I find fights entertaining in Dark Souls. But having commentary over it gives it a bit more extra flavor, more pizzazz. You'll like it more. I mean, that's on a statistical level. Of course, I had to sacrifice some of the sound from it, maybe less music, so my audio can be more clear. But that's that. Soul of Cinder dead. Challenge done. So many hours trying to beat this hard challenge, and finally done. And feels great. All I want people to know in the end of it all is to keep on trying, alright? To never go hollow. Don't you dare go hollow on me, because I will be watching. Wait, that's creepy. Cut, 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 cut!